Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just 1 minute. So if you need to keep cover, that's okay. But just know that we'll get started in 1 minute. Okay, folks, we'll get started in 1 minute. 1 minute warning. Okay, folks, if folks could come out, I think it's not raining right now. That'd be great. We'll get started. And because parts of our service will be in English and in Spanish both, if you have not picked up one of the interpretation devices, please grab one. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Oregon Workers' Memorial Day service. My name is Graham Trainer, and I'm proud to serve as president of the Oregon AFL-CIO. As I mentioned a little bit ago, today's event will include both English and Spanish speakers, so I'll again ask everyone to grab a translation headset to ensure you're able to follow along during today's service. Today is a day to remember and recognize killed and injured workers from last year, as well as the contributions they have made to our society. It is also a day when the Oregon labor movement can showcase our commitment to ending the needless pain, suffering, and loss of life which are associated with unhealthy and unsafe working conditions. Every day, too many American workers, 340 to be exact, are killed on the job. Thousands more are injured each year, and the days and years cut off of workers' lives due to occupational diseases are immeasurable. In 2021, workers faced another year of a deadly pandemic which devastated working families and highlighted the fundamental right to and importance of a safe job for every worker. Immediately and throughout the crisis, unions and our allies have stepped into action to demand and win protections on the job from this highly contagious virus. Nearly 1 million Americans and over 7,000 Oregonians have lost their lives from the COVID-19 pandemic, some of which contracted the virus from work, highlighting the inextricable link between workplace safety and the health of our communities. More than 69 Oregonians died from injuries and illnesses sustained working in 2021. And this number does not include the over 179 Oregonians who were involved in a workplace outbreak of COVID-19 and ultimately passed. As a result of the pandemic's continued toll on working families, we organized for safe jobs and the right to speak out against unsafe working conditions. We won emergency workplace safety protections for workers against COVID-19 and are continuing the fight to defend key protections as we transition to whatever a new normal looks like. And in the absence of early and swift action by the federal government to require prevention measures in all workplaces, the Oregon labor movement demanded access to the ventilation, personal protective equipment, and other measures that protect workers from contracting the virus at work. The central role and advocacy of organized labor and our allies was the key factor that made work safer during such a dangerous time. But our work organizing for safe jobs has not ended and never will. The pandemic exposed our weak laws that have prevented workers from organizing in their workplaces to demand safer working conditions. It also exposed weak job safety laws and a lack of resources that would ensure that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration and the Mine Safety and Health Administration can protect workers. Many employers and workers never see OSHA in their workplace. Penalties are still too low to be a deterrent. Workers are not adequately protected to speak out against unsafe working conditions and to freely join a union without retaliation. We must do better because the stakes are too high. 69 Oregonians died on the job or as a result of workplace injuries last year, and each one is a candle blown out too early. Their families are deprived of future memories because of workplace safety. Their families are denied the opportunity of a future because of workplace safety. No worker, no family, no person should face that reality. But this year, we stand here in solemn observance of 69 people who lost their lives. We must do better. A safe job is a fundamental right. Every worker deserves the right to leave for work in the morning knowing that they'll come home safe, free from injury and free from disease. Every working family deserves the expectation that there will be no empty chairs at the dinner table because of unsafe working conditions. Today, we recommit ourselves to fight like hell for the living, to evolve this fight as the world changes around us, from the economy to the climate, to fight for this fundamental right to safer jobs in our forests and fields, in our factories, at the construction site, in our hospitals, on the line protecting our communities, on our roads, and in every single Oregon workplace. To continue the fight pushing lawmakers to pass policies that make it easier for workers to enforce safe workplaces and to fund state agencies in a way that will truly level the playing field for workers. And to never stop fighting to ensure that state agency leaders remember their charge to keep workers safe amidst growing pressure from some employers to roll back protections. Now it's my honor to welcome Reverend Rick Davis from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem to deliver today's invocation.
Before I begin my prayer, I'd like to invite the families of fallen workers, if they would please come sit in the chairs, just so you are comfortable for this service, if you would so choose. So please do come and sit. If you're the family or member of a loved one of the fallen workers, please feel free to sit there if you choose. Would you join me in a spirit of prayer? O God of all times and places and people, God of peace and justice and compassion, you who call us to lives of meaning and purpose, may we tune our hearts and minds to your presence within us and amongst us, that we might feel empowered to meet with courage and resolve the challenges and opportunities that lie before us, empowered to bring more light and love and compassion into our hurting world. Today, we remember and honor those Oregon workers whose lives were lost on the essential jobs they performed, which served the common good. Hard jobs, dangerous, often dirty, oftentimes too low paying. And today, we are humbly and sadly mindful of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, whose lives were tragically ended on the job, and whose families have since known shock and grief and heartbreak. The precious ones we mourn today died unnatural deaths. They did not get to live the full measure of their years and enjoy the sweet blessings that should have come for them and their loved ones. Such deaths have dealt a cruel blow to you, family members and loved ones who are present in body and spirit. The hardest thing we have to do in our lives is say goodbye to those we have loved. And sorrow is yet greater when death strikes too soon. Our hearts especially go out to the grieving family members during your time of sorrow. And we offer to you our compassion and support. Let us not take for granted all those who put their well-being and their lives at risk to do essential work on our behalf. Let us remember to be their advocates. And may we remember too, in a spirit of gratitude, those brave souls who came before us, who fought against powerful interests in their time, often sacrificing their very lives for the right of workers to join together in collective bargaining to promote their legitimate rights for living wages and safe and humane working conditions. May we find inspiration in their example for our own challenging times. May we thirst for justice and compassion in society, and may we labor together to deconstruct the human-made hells that are created by greed, indifference, and intolerance in our world. May we strengthen our efforts to protect those whose work in dangerous conditions. May we recognize the holy power that lies within us individually and collectively to bring about great good in our world. And may we use that power to do so. Let us pause in just a moment's silence, holding the lost ones in our hearts. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Davis. Now joining us to read Oregon Governor Kate Brown's proclamation for today is Marta Lopez, a farm worker and member of Pucun.
Hola a todos, solamente quiero decir, hay algo que quiero leer, pero también hay algo que quiero decir de lo que yo pienso. Entonces, mientras cada año decenas de miles de trabajadores estadounidenses mueren por lesiones en el lugar de trabajo y enfermedad ocupacional, decenas de miles más están permanentemente discapacitados y millones resultan lesionados. Y mientras más de 980,000 estadounidenses y más de 7,147 habitantes han perdido la vida a causa de la pandemia de COVID-19, algunos de los cuales contrajeron el virus en los lugares de trabajo. Esto destaca innegablemente la seguridad en el lugar de trabajo y la salud de nuestras comunidades. Y mientras en 2021 más de 69 habitantes de Oregon murieron en el lugar de trabajo por lesiones sufridas mientras trabajaban, sin incluir 169 habitantes de Oregon que se vieron afectados por un brote en el lugar de trabajo y finalmente fallecieron. Y mientras al organizar el Día de los Trabajadores el 28 de abril, que es el día elegido por los sindicatos de Oregon como un día para recordar a las víctimas de lesiones y enfermedades en el lugar de trabajo, renovamos los esfuerzos para buscar una mayor seguridad y protección de salud, para mejorar los estándares y aplicaciones y una compensación justa. Y volvemos a dedicarnos a mejorar la seguridad y la salud de todos en los lugares de trabajo estadounidenses. Los estadounidenses preocupados están dedicados a prevenir estas tragedias en el futuro. Esto es lo que tengo que leer, y lo que tengo que decir es que se agradece que estén aquí. Se agradece que valoren el trabajo que hacen, no solamente los estadounidenses con un estatus migratorio formal, pero también las personas que están en los campos sin un estatus migratorio. Entonces, gracias por esto, y ojalá sigan los esfuerzos para que esas personas se valoren, para que su trabajo se valore y para que sigamos creciendo, no solamente como país, pero también como nación, porque todos ocupamos de todos. Gracias.
Thank you, Marta. Joining us today to read the names of the workers who died on the job or as a result of workplace injuries In 2021 is Christina Stevenson, a civil rights attorney and candidate for Oregon Labor Commissioner.
Giovanni Abarza, Bradley Anderson, Gary Arnhart, Carrie Boleyn, Stephen Bradshaw, James Buck, Rachel Bunting, Stanley Burdick, John Bright, Everando Castaneda Hernandez, Tyler Chambers, Julian Cruz Soto, Jennifer Davidson, Luis Diaz Perez, James Downing, Braden Doyle, Anthony Duckworth, Mackenzie Fletcher, William Frakes, Sebastian Francisco Perez, Brian Gaunt, Alonzo Gilbertson, Donald Gray, James Green, Eduardo Gutierrez Sosa, Danny Harris, Jonathan Harrison, Randall Holdner, Gregory Hunter, Richard Igg, Scott Iredell, Dale Johnson, Hunter Johnson, Dustin Jordan, Kenton Krupp, Henry Litchwald, Orthan Lopez Nunez, Nolan Mahan, Richard Marshall, Paul Matthews, Nicholas McDuffie, Eduardo Mendoza Arias, Gumercindo Mendoza Nava, Ian Mouser, Brian Neely, Maria Perez Melchor, Charles Petit, Greg Quant, William Ragsdale, Michael Reedy, Jose Romero Ramirez, Jose Sanchez Urena, Bermencio Ruiz Carapia, Patrick Sanford, Patrick Saraya, Timothy Shaughnessy, Lester Sickles Jr., Ronald Sims, Brenda Stater, Ronald Stout, William Straunchin, Eric Thomas, Sang Vo, Philip Wengel, Roger Wheeler, Thomas White, Joe Wright, Armando Yanez, Zachary Zapone.
Thank you, Christina. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor the fallen. Thank you to the Salem Firefighters Pipe and Drum Corps. Joining us now is Lou Savage, Interim Administrator for Oregon OSHA.
Well, thank you to our friends at the AFL-CIO for organizing this event, as you've done for many years. And thank you to everyone who's here today and who's viewing this observance online. We're especially grateful to the family and friends of the fallen workers whose lives we commemorate today. And I'm really here to talk to you. We are all here to acknowledge your loss and grief. There were over 69 on-the-job fatalities, as Graham mentioned, but that's just a statistic. Each one of these folks is more than a number. They're an individual who had hopes and dreams to pursue and family and friends to enjoy. Each one, like your loved one, had a life story with more chapters to be written. So we gather here today to grieve with you. We know that the depth of your loss is one that you must bear. And being here today with those of you who mourn their loved one, we remind ourselves that the risks of death in the workplace are all too real. So as we grieve with you, as we take this time, this gathering, to recognize the depth of your loss, we need to ask ourselves a question. What more can we do to show you that your loved one's death has meaning to our community beyond today? Because it's not enough for our community to mourn our fallen workers. As we grieve their loss, we must look to the future with a renewed commitment to sending our workers home safe to their family and friends at the end of each workday. In the face of these losses, though, we can't be discouraged. We must do better. There are challenges to workplace safety and health, and we need to confront them. We need to continue to identify their causes, and we need to eliminate those causes. We owe it to the fallen workers whose names we read today, and we owe it to you, their family and friends who are with us here today. So with this commemoration, we renew our commitment to the fight on behalf of safety and health for Oregon workers. And hopefully we can see a future when the names of the fallen workers we read aloud is fewer and fewer. Thanks again for being with us here today.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you to our speakers, and thank you to everyone who joined us today and braved some April showers that we can usually count on in person or on social media for this solemn but important gathering. We hope that next year the list grows shorter, that one day the need for this ceremony will no longer exist, and that work will truly be safe for all workers. Until then, may we all recommit ourselves to realizing this outcome. This concludes our service. Thank you all.
What's that? We shall do it.